Welcome to Autism ADHD TV. It is the place to be for parents and professionals. I'm your host, Holly Blanc Moses, the mom psychologist who gets it. We dive into all kinds of important information like behavior, social skills, and learning. All right, let's get started. Today, we are talking about 4 annoying myths about ADHD. Now, there are lots of annoying myths, but we're going to touch on a big 4. Number 1, ADHD isn't real. So take a big deep breath with me because I know I am. If you have someone that says this to you, please send them my way. Because ADHD is real. We know that first-degree relatives of those with ADHD are 2 to 8 times more likely to show ADHD symptoms. There is a big genetic link here. We also know that children with ADHD have parts of their brains that are actually smaller, and these brain regions have a lot to do with critical thinking and behavior control. There are other risks as well, but the bottom line is ADHD is real. It's a real neurodevelopmental difference. Number 2 myth, ADHD comes from bad parenting. This is really frustrating for me because I have been in those places where I've gotten these nasty looks from people in public, and it is incredibly frustrating. Parents of children with ADHD are some of the most dedicated, involved, and loving parents out there. I know because I've worked with hundreds of them in my career. They are constantly wanting to learn more. They're constantly discovering how to help their children. It is not possible to punish ADHD out of a child. And it's really sad when ignorant people are blaming parents and children. You know, navigating life's ups and downs with ADHD can be really tough already. Parents do not cause ADHD. Their parenting does not make their child have ADHD. Parents and children everywhere, including me and mine, do not, I repeat, do not need to hear this ridiculous garbage. Now let's move on to number 3. ADHD is an excuse. You know, if I had a dime for every time I've heard this, I could jet set around the world 10 times over easy. I've had a close relative say this to me. One of my child's past therapists said this to me, and of course I fired them because clearly they didn't know what they were talking about. And a couple of my children's teachers have also said this. Now, you might be wondering how I responded to these statements, and it really depends on my mental and physical state at the moment. If I am able to educate, which I usually am, I will. If I'm in a place where I understand that trying to educate this person just leads to frustration because they're not open to getting it, I'll go in another direction. Now, you may even be in a situation where posing some questions can be helpful. So let's talk about those. Here goes. Why on earth would a child choose to get in trouble at school all the time? Why would they choose to struggle making and keeping friends? Why would they choose to feel bad? Why would they choose to feel like they fail all of the time? Which a lot of my patients feel this way. The answer to this is they wouldn't choose that, and they don't. Children with ADHD don't want a harder life. It's not an excuse. So here's my last question to someone who thinks ADHD is an excuse. Why is it so much easier for you to blame a child than take the time to understand that they're struggling and they need help? That's a big question. And I'm curious, if someone tells you ADHD is an excuse, what would they say to that? Again, why is it so much easier for you to blame a child than choose to understand they're struggling and need help. Number 4, our last myth for today. Kids with ADHD just need to try harder. So if you don't have ADHD, it's hard for us to put ourselves in their shoes, but we're going to try for just a second. Imagine being in school and you have no idea. You cannot remember what the teacher just said, and you are supposed to be writing it down to study it for an upcoming test. Now imagine that you're sitting at your desk in class and you have no clue what you're supposed to be doing, but when you look around, everyone else seems to know. Imagine being told over and over again to try harder or pay attention, but you really are doing the very best you can and no one believes you. Not even the adults in your life that are supposed to support you believe you. How do you think that feels? I have worked again with hundreds of kids, and I would say the vast majority of them are doing the best they can, but no one believes them. Now, if you're watching or listening to this episode, I really want to ask you for a favor. Please share it. Please share it with your family, your friends, your teacher, child's teachers. If you're a professional, please share this episode with your colleagues, because if we can help one child, if we could help one child and set them up for success, set them up to understand that they are not to blame, that they are doing the best they can, that they need supports and those adults are there to support them, that child's gonna have a better life. So I wanna thank you in advance for sharing this episode to as many people as you can, because that can make such a big difference. And hopefully one day we're not gonna have these myths anymore. Thanks for listening today, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Take care. Thank you for joining me today. Don't forget to click that subscribe button so you don't miss any future episodes. If you like this episode, please share it with someone. It may just be what they need to watch today. If you're a parent, I'd love if you came on over and joined our Facebook group, Autism ADHD Group for Parents. If you're a therapist or educator, come on over to our group, Autism ADHD Group for Therapists and Educators. You're going to find those links right down there in the notes. Thanks so much, and I can't wait to see you in the next episode.
All content provided is protected under applicable copyright, patent, trademark, and other proprietary rights. All content is provided for informational and educational purposes only. No content is intended to be a substitute for professional medical or psychological diagnosis, advice, or treatment. Information provided does not create an agreement for service between Holly Blanc Moses, Crossvine Clinical Group, the interviewee, Holly Blanc Moses LLC, and the recipient. Consult your physician regarding the applicability of any opinions or recommendations with respect to your symptoms or medical condition, or the symptoms or medical condition of your family member. Children or adults who show signs of dangerous behavior toward themselves and/or others should be placed immediately under the care of a qualified professional.